Just getting everything ready. Alright, I think we may have everything set up. There we go. Right, this is Stories from Sol, the Gundog, which is supposed to be sort of a visual novel type thing with a strong Gundam theme to it. I've never played this game before, so I figured, might as well give it a try. I'm going into this blind. September 21st, Planetary Calendar 209. Following a raft of repressive policies and crackdowns from the Earth-based government of the Solar Federation, the joint forces of the Martian territories and the Jovian Unified Colony Fleet rebelled. This conflict came to be known as the Solar Wars. The Solar War, just one, singular. The war carried on for 3 years, but eventually the combined forces of the Martian territories and the Jovian Unified Colony Fleet managed to push the federal military all the way back to planet Earth. In the final days of the conflict, a pitched battle was fought in lunar orbit that would decide the war's victor. Lunar orbit, aboard the Jovian carriers JFS Kalike. You flexibly tighten your grip on your armored frame's twin flight sticks as another wave of vibration reverberates through the cockpit. The creak of your new flight suit and your quickening breath are the only sounds that you can hear above the gentle hum of the frame's subsystems. As you squeeze the controls tighter, their plastic casings creak under the pressure. You try and stay calm, knowing that these gentle vibrations are remnants of huge shock waves that are buffeting the Kalike, the carrier that you're stationed on. Each one is a near miss as an explosion tears through the space around the ship. You try to push the thoughts from your mind and focus on controlling your breathing, but you've already realized that their frequency means that the Kalike must be approaching the front line. Your squadron will be launching soon, and you'll be engaging in your first real sortie. Your first real flight, in fact. You feel your throat tighten. Simulations are as good as the real thing, that's what your trainer told all of you. But you know that pilots are supposed to have hundreds of hours of live flights and training exercises in real armored frames before they're allowed anywhere near the front lines. Of course, that didn't happen. Commandant told you that modern simulations meant cadets could graduate without the need of these exercises. You'd overheard the rumors, though. The Jovian Colony Fleet had lost a lot of pilots, and still wanted to keep peace with the Martian advance against Earth, had resorted to fielding anyone who could fight. So keep pace. Your whole squadron is just like you, freshly conscripted from Europa colonies. You'd undergone basic training there, but almost all of your flight training had taken place in the cruiser's journey from Jovian space. You wonder how the others are feeling right now, whether... Maintenance crew, Kalike 5, this is flight deck. We're preparing your squadron for takeoff. Running last-minute diagnostics on your frame. Activating all systems. Now. Alright, looks all good to go. We'll run a few more checks, then we'll have you spaceborne in a few minutes. We're ready to show those Terrans who's boss. I think we're just gonna remain quiet. Your mind races as you try to think up a response that will convince not just the engineer, but yourself too, that everything is going to be alright. Instead, your mouth dries up and your heart feels like it's about to burst from your chest. The flight stick creak more loudly as you squeeze them tighter, as if any moment now you may snap them in half. Hey pilot, everything okay in there? Comms green. After taking a few deep breaths, it eventually feels like you have a modicum of control again. Release your grasp on the flight sticks and lean back into your chair. This is Kalike 5. Calm screen, just a bit. Well there, Kalike 5. Nothing wrong with feeling the jitters. Tell you what, what's your name, pilot? What are we going to name this pilot? I'm thinking Blob. Just Blob. Okay, Blob, what's your surname? Blobicus. And your pronouns? I mean, I'm a blob, so I guess they, them? Let's go with... yeah, let's go with he, him, actually. Blobicus. That right? Yes. Okay, Ensign Blobicus. First up, take a few deep breaths from me. In and out. Nice and slow. You got that? You draw in one long measured breath and hold it, then release it. Following the engineer's instructions, you repeat this a few more times. After a while, you begin to feel your pulse slow down and some of the tension in your body slip away. You still feel an edge, but feel slightly more in control. Oh, hello there, other Jackal. Just started up this game. This is literally the intro. I've made a few choices, that is it. Also, let me just move where the blob is located. That's not how we do that. That is how we do that. There we go. Accidentally moved the entire game instead. I may move the blob if there's anything important for gameplay there. Alright, there we go. Now listen up, Ensign. You've got a thing to worry about up there. The way I've heard is that all the Terran's best pilots were taken care of between here and Mars. Heck, Martians are the ones who've been leading the charge today, so they're the ones taking all the flak. Propaganda machines selling this as our decisive strike against Earth's last line of defense. But between you and me, it ain't nothing more than a mopping up situation. Buddy of mine in operations said as much in the canteen last night. Besides, you hear a dull ring over the comms and sit bolt upright in your seat, slouching back and exhaling as you realize it's nothing more than the engineer striking the cockpit armor on your frame. This beauty here is a work of art. Terran frames ain't got nothing on her. She's all tuned up and ready to go. Probably spent more time with this one than I have with my own kid. So don't you worry. Remember what they taught you in training, and leave the rest up to her, and you'll come out on this just fine. Despite your startled reaction a moment ago, the engineer's confidence is infectious and starting to rub off on you. You adjust your position in your seat so that you're sat up straight, and the soft hum of the frame systems now seem more comforting than ominous. Just a mobbing up operation, you think. Martians have done all the work, so we're sitting pretty here in our top-of-the-line frames. Yeah, nothing to worry about. So, Ensign Blobicus, how are you feeling about things now? I still think we'd be nervous. You almost managed to reply with something preppy and upbeat, but at the last moment the words catch in your throat. If this were a simple mobbing operation, why was it happening in lunar orbit and not nearer to Earth? Why were those explosions so close to the Kalike? These questions churn in your head as you grip the flight sticks again. Hey, Ensign, you still in there? Comm still green? I said, how you feeling? Oh, sorry, comm's green. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Ready to kick ass and everything. You lie. That's the spirit, kid. Just remember what I told you. Look after that frame and she'll look after you. Ain't no thing. Left alone with your thoughts, you tune back into the gentle hum of the frame. You watch the seconds tick away on the cockpit clock, whilst you wait for the order to launch. The wait seems to drag on and on. You carry out a few last-minute flight checks, but as you already completed them when you boarded, nothing has changed. Ooh, Commander. Alright, pilot, listen up. This is Kalike 1. We've been cleared for launches, so be ready for immediate action. All frames will be taken off in designation order. Attack formation. Sound off. Kalike 2, ready. This is Kalike 3, ready. Kalike 4, here, ready for takeoff. Kalike 5, confirm your status. Oh, yeah, Kalike 5, standing by. Keep it together, Kalike 5. Kalike 6. Kalike 6, ready. Alright, Kalike Squadron, move out. Kalike 1 launching. Kalike 2 launching. Kalike 3 launching. Kalike 4 moving out. The roll call for Squadron stayed apart from the ship and accelerate rapidly towards the campus zone. Almost sounds like a countdown to you. Once Kalike 4 has declared the launch, you know your time has come. You disengage the restraints and prepare yourself. Kalike 5, launching. You shout as you slam the flight stick forward for maximum thrust. Kalike 5, abort launch, cut thrusters. Kalike 5, abort launch, cut thrusters. The engineer's instructions barely register in the confusion as you're jerked around the cockpit, your helmet slamming on the control panel as a brief moment of thrust throws you back into your seat before you're whipped forward again. Warnings flash all over your monitor and sirens and alerts sound from all over the cockpit. Kalike 5, abort launch and cut thrusters! It takes a few seconds for you to comprehend the engineer, but once you do, you quickly pull the flight stick back to their neutral position. The roar of your frame's engine dies, and your cockpit regains its previous stillness. You winch as the metallic taste of blood fills your mouth. Alright, Kalike 5, hang tight for a moment. Your frame's restraints didn't accept the disengage command, and you're still attached to the Kalike. We're going to need to run a diagnostics. Shouldn't take too long. You slump in your cockpit's chair and exhale deeply, your heart still pounding 1,000,000 beats per minute and your lips stinging. You continue to slow your breathing as you listen to the still open communications channels from the maintenance crew as they work to get your frame released. Hey, yeah, looks like the restraint disengage command didn't register. Yeah, Unit 5. Alright, yeah. Get Unit 6 out. No sense waiting for this one. Okay, start the diagnostics, then reboot if necessary. Kalike 6, launching. What do you mean hardware fault? We've checked this 10 times since Mars at least. Who was assigned, Unit 5? Oh, fine, right. Shut down systems and run the diagnostics again. I want this frame out there in the next 5 minutes. Kalike 5, we're going to shut down your frame systems for a moment, so we can run diagnostics. Stay ready, though. We'll have you launching soon. Kalike 5, understood. Ready and waiting. As your cockpit faced the darkness again, you realize the flight sticks, and suddenly realize how long you've been clenching your fists around them. Flex your fingers and roll your shoulders, exhaling again as you begin to hear the muffled sounds of the engineers working on your frame's restraints. Staring at the dead monitor, you slowly begin to smile. This was what you wanted, wasn't it? You'd spent so long worrying about this mission that you'd thrown up twice in the past 24 hours, and now it looks like that it was all for nothing. You got what you wanted, and you were safe. As safe as you can be. Strapped to the outside of a military carrier in an inactive armored frame, anyway. Your smile widens inadvertently at the thought. Getting shut down in an inactive frame still in the restraints. You've become a cautionary tale for engineers and pilots throughout the entire Jovian colony fleet. Your mind turns quickly to the rest of your squadron. When they returned, they'd be the laughingstock of the entire Kalike. The pilot who'd spent the entire first mission stuck in a dark cockpit. You dodged a bullet, but you never. This is Kalike 6. They've cut off the flight path. There's more. There's a whole squadron of carriers coming in from E-Field. Kalike 1. They're going to cut you off from the fleet. Kalike 6 is signal disappearing As you sit bolt upright as you begin pressing buttons trying to activate your cockpit's main monitors, you can see what's going on. However, with your frame system shut down remotely by the maintenance crew, you can do nothing but sit in the dark stillness and listen to events unfold. Collect 6, respond! Collect 6! What's going on? How many carriers are coming from E-Field? Give me a moment. Ma'am, Collect 6 signal has been lost. It's not responding. Ma'am, he's... Hold it together, Collect 4. All units form up defensive formation on me. I said all units. Collect 2, don't break formation. Ma'am, they're firing on us. There's so many of them. Oh God! Ma'am, help! In an instant, your communication channel is flooded with cries of terror and panic. You hear your squad mates, your fellow pilots, exclamations of fear as this unexpected enemy force bears down on them. Screams and yelps, wails and howls fill your head as you sit powerless in the dark confines of your cockpit. Hey, who's out there? Engineer, hey, get me ready. I can help. Get me ready to launch. Engineering! They're getting killed out there. I need to go. Now! You shout. Demands to get your frame ready for launch over the channel, but are met with no response. In the dark of the cockpit, with your controls unresponsive, you can't be sure whether the channel is closed or if no one's listening, with all attention turned to receiving the battle damage units from your squad. Listen to me! Anyone, get me out there! You desperately begin attempting a manual override of your systems, but find that nothing responds to you. The only spark of life that you can glean from your frame is the small diagnostics progress bar. I need to be out there. Anyone, hey! In one last desperate attempt, you begin hammering on your cockpit walls, hoping to get the attention of the engineers you could hear outside earlier. The entire time, the chaos of the combat out in space is narrated to you in broken fragments of radio chatter. There's 3, 4, on me. I've lost my shield. I can't shake them. They're everywhere. They're... Signal lost. The line of retreat's totally cut off. We can't get back to the ship. Ma'am, what do we do? What do we do? Stop panicking and form up. 3 and 4, on me. We're going to punch a hole through the formation and... Signal lost. Ma'am, come in, ma'am. Oh no. Oh God. Oh. Signal lost. One by one, your squad signals disappear, and the cacophony of panic disappears, replaced by the gentle hiss of static. You stop hammering on the side of your cockpit as the last voice is cut off. You're drenched in a cold sweat now, and your empty stomach feels like a rock has sunk to the bottom of it. You lean back and stare blankly ahead. This is Collect 5. Ready for takeoff. September 21st, Planetary Calendar 209. Despite last-minute reinforcements for the Solar Federation from their headquarters on Earth, the battle above Luna is a victory for the joint Martian and Jovian forces. This would be the final battle of the Solar War. Having lost their last stronghold on Luna, the Solar Federation would agree to ceasefire and sign an armistice to end hostilities. An uneasy peace fills the solar system. With the conflict between the Solar Federation and the Martian-Jovian alliance concluded, the Kalike and her crew soon returned to the Europa colony near Jupiter. April 19th, Planetary Calendar 214. So this would be 5 days later? 5 years later, actually. The reduced need for pilots away from the delicate space between Earth and Mars saw Ensign Blobkus reassigned to security detail aboard various Jovian ships. He's eventually promoted to lieutenant. 4 years have passed since the battle above Lunar. The Jovian colony fleet fearing fresh aggression from Earth, has increased patrols near its colonies after picking up unusual signals from further out in the solar system. The patrol ship JFS Gundog is dispatched to support the JFS O'Brien in its investigation of these signals. Jovian space. Above the Jovian patrol ship JFS Gundog. Okay, there's nothing down here, so the blob can stay where it is. As the rumble of the Gundog's engine roaring to life reverberates through the ship, you clench your fists. It's been 4 years, and to this day, the sensation of tremors, whether they're ship engines, docking clamps, or weapon drills, still ties your stomach into knots. A bad trait for a ship security officer. You shake your head and exhale slowly, taking a moment before stowing the last of your possessions and pushing the drawer closed. You feel it click as it locks into place and the exterior plastic panel sits completely flush with its surroundings. Stepping back, you look around the room. You take another deep breath and hold it for a moment. Although this was far from your first posting as a security officer, you always felt the same sense of trepidation, if not anxiety. As similar as all these ships were, they all came with their own unique crews and personalities, and with those came unique problems. Breathing out, take a look around the room, taking stock of your surroundings. Select the look button, examining your surroundings by selecting items of interest. Select it again when you're done. Alright, now that we're done with the entire intro, I can actually respond to chat a little. Hello Jackal, hello Musa57. This is Stories from Seoul, the Gundog. This is a sort of older investigation adventure type game set in a universe that is legally distinct from Gundam. So we were a Gundam pilot, but our Gundam never took off, and it appears we probably have some PTSD from that. And now we're a security officer aboard the Gundog. That is all I know for now. I'm going into this game blind. I don't know anything about it. Okay, so now I press look, and we can press these different things that light up to look at them. Well, let's try these. It's just a normal storage unit. I travel light, so mine only has clothes in it. The bed? A standard cruise bunk. Once you've slept in one, you've slept in them all. Although this one is one of the nicer ones I've been assigned to. The wall panel can be removed by jimmying it with a thin object, and crew members often stash contraband there. Looks like this one's not been touched though. This terminal lets me access the ship's computer. It's got a clock, a word processor, and even a calendar. I can also access records and my orders from here, but for anything else I'll need to access the core, which is limited to those in operations or command. A standard door with an electronic lock and magnetic bolting system. The only way in or out unless you plan on getting creative with the maintenance tunnels. I think we've looked at all we can look. Select the use button to interact with your surroundings by selecting specific objects to use them. Select the button again when you're done. Okay, let's see. There's nothing in there right now that I need, just my uniform and some toiletries. I won't just boarded, and it's still the middle of the day based on Jovian Standard Time. Oh, it looks like I've been instructed to report to the bridge to meet the captain. I haven't met anyone yet since my transport to the spaceport ran late, and I just about made it on board before launch. Select the move button to move to a different location from the list of options. If you change your mind, select the button again. Move to crew quarters from corridor 1. Oh, so that just gives us a list, okay. Let's go to crew quarters. Just about into an empty corridor, and the door to your quarters gently hisses shut behind you. Its keypad gives a short series of beeps, and you hear the lock engage. The dull thrum of the ship's systems is barely audible, but otherwise just in total silence. The air is cool outside of your quarters, and the corridor has a sterile lack of aroma. This has been the same on every ship you've been stationed on, and at this point, it doesn't surprise you. Okay, so this is a Swift-class patrol vessel, which means if I leave the quarters block, I'll be on the foreside thoroughfare. If I go right towards the aft, I'll arrive in the central hub, and then I can head to the bridge. We can look at a lot of things. Let's look at the different things. Dylan D's. Can't say I run into them in any other ship. Delton Grange. Not someone I met before. Harbor Rumney. Doesn't sound familiar. Hanson Cruise. No comment on that one. I may be security, but under normal circumstances, I can't just barge into someone's room without being invited in. I don't think just going in there would be a good idea. I don't need to go in there right now. Okay, so he just goes, nah, we're not doing that. Okay, let's go to the thoroughfare. You leave the crew book behind you and find yourself in a much larger corridor that stretches off to your left and with multiple smaller corridors leading from it. To your right, the corridor leads to a larger plaza-like space. A very faint breeze coming from the left ruffles your hair and chills you slightly, and you hear the sound of human activity. From the right, you can hear the hum of the ship's engine more clearly now, as well as the occasional low, quiet whirring sound. Looks like I was right. This portion of the thoroughfare will let me access both sets of crew quarters, the mess hall, the hangar, and the central hub. From there, I can access the rest of the ship's areas. I should hurry up to meet the captain before I look around anywhere else. Warning: low gravity. The ship's hangar. Since I'm on security detail, the only time I should be spending there is when I'm carrying out my daily checks. On a larger ship, you'd see people coming and going constantly, so it's eerie how quiet this one is. The mess hall. I don't imagine a ship this size has a cook, or even a kitchen, so it's probably just a vent-made unit. I wonder what could be down that way. Fire control, maybe? I got to meet the captain, so there'll be plenty of opportunities to check it out later. I had a decent meal back in the colony before I came aboard. Since we don't know how long this dispatch will last, it could be a while before I have anything that isn't made from long-life ingredients. I'll figure out what's down there later. Okay, let's go to Central Hub. As you enter the Central Hub, you hear a low whirring noise and the engines grow louder. You can see the readouts above one of the elevators change, letting you know someone is using it to travel to another part of the ship. That's good to know. Looking around, you see the entrance to both the fore and the aft thoroughfares, as well as the corridor to the airlocks. These elevators will take me to the bridge where the captain will be. I shouldn't waste any more time. That's the foreside thoroughfare, where I've just come from. The crew's quarters, hangar, and mess hall all down that way, probably. That way leads to the aft of the ship. I'm not totally familiar with Swift-class ships, but at the least I know that the engine room is that way. Most of the ship can be accessed from the two thoroughfares, but some areas, like the bridge, are situated on different levels, so need to be accessed by elevator. There should be access from maintenance crawl. There should be access from maintenance crawlways around here somewhere, but those are usually only for emergencies. Oh, that's just the same. Okay, so let's use the one that says brewery. Knowing that you need to report to the captain, who at this point of the ship's journey should be stationed at the bridge, you make your way towards the elevator and press the call button. Use the back and watch the indicator above each elevator, waiting for one to arrive. As you wait, your mind begins to wander. You're caught unaware as you feel something suddenly jab into your back, and a voice from behind you declares, "Hands in the air, identify yourself." Your posture stiffens as you snap back to reality, caught completely off guard by the voice behind you. Thoughts race through your mind as you try to figure out what's going on. Could there already be another security detail on board? That should be possible. As far as you knew, you were the only one. Unless... I said hands in the air, punk! You tentatively raise your hands, palms flat and facing forward, as whatever's been thrust into the small of your back is removed slowly, and you hear the person behind you take a step backwards. You exhale and begin to turn around. Lieutenant Blobtkus, security detail, ID SO 254 JFSG. I'm on my way to meet the captain too. Where you'd been expecting a gruff crew member, instead you're met with a bright and cheery officer waving a pen around with a large smile on her face. You're taken aback for a moment, as this isn't just any officer. This is... Cassie, what are you? Blob, I've missed you so much. Aw. You big doofus. You should have seen your face when you turned around. You were all... I love that face that you make when you think you're in trouble. It's like you think playing the big soldier will get you out of trouble. It's so cute. Lieutenant Commander Cassandra Quinn. You should have known. Really, she's always been one for bad jokes and stupid pranks, as long as you've known her. Her less than professional attitude and penance for irresponsibility is the reason why, despite her talent, she's not commanding a ship of her own. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, how good did I get you? You totally thought you were being busted, right? But if you're being honest, her playful nature is what attracted you to her in the first place. You've been dating for nearly 2 years now. Oh god. Hold on a moment. There we go. You've been dating for nearly 2 years now, but a lot of that has been over electronic mail and letters. Your postings have never lined up, until now. Cassie, what are you doing here? I thought you were stationed on the Reliant. You never said you were being transferred. What happened? Well, the thing about that is, you might say that a disagreement with the head of operations in the Reliant led to a lateral trajectory for my career? Cassandra, please. Okay, so maybe when it comes time to change the ship's cybersecurity passwords, I couldn't be bothered to spend all day sitting in the computer core waiting for it to generate new code, so I could just change all the existing passwords by a single digit. Jackal, I know you're in IT at the very least, and I know I am. Changing all passwords by a single digit. How bad of an idea is that? You place your face in your hands as a dull groan rises from the back of your throat. This isn't the first time you've heard a story like this. And maybe it turns out when they run the cybersecurity drills, they assume that the enemy have your old passwords, so try brute forcing from those. And maybe that meant that the ship was compromised in 0.5 seconds. But at least they found out I'd done that in a drill and not in a real engagement, right? I basically saved the entire ship in advance. I'm unsurprised. I'm surprised you're still even stationed in a ship. How are you not stuck back in a record room at Europa Colony right now? Well, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but if I can't trust you, who can I trust? Turns out this mission was organized at really short notice, and the Gundog was the only ship available. The problem was that they'd been having issues with the crew, so they had to transfer some in short notice. Lucky for me that I'd so recently been made available. That's so weird. I'd only just stationed here on the Duke. I'd only just been stationed on the Duke, so I shouldn't have been free to be transferred. Okay, you figured it out. I may have used one of my contacts from the Academy who works in resources to transfer you over here. I'm pretty sure you know every regulation you broke by doing that. What was I supposed to do? Get stationed to some tiny ship heading out in the middle of nowhere with no one I know in the crew? We haven't seen each other in months. Aren't you glad to see me? Of course I'm glad to see you. I've missed you too. You know, it's been a long time. You don't become part of the Reliance Operations Department without some serious talents, and I'm not going anywhere. Oh, you said you were on your way to the captain, right? Have you had a chance to take a look around the ship yet? No, not yet. I was going to. Great, I'll show you around. I've been here for a few days, so I basically know the ship like the back of my hand. Where do you want to go first? I was on my way to see the captain. I felt the engine start up, so I know we're launching soon, and I thought that I should probably report in as soon as possible. Oh, don't worry about that. I've already locked you on board, so it's just a formality now. Besides, Captain Bartomuse is the name. Captain Bartomuse isn't exactly a sticker for procedure, so you can check out anywhere you want before we head up there. Well, alright, in that case. Great! This is going to be the best tour you've ever been on. By the time it's over, you'll have seen every inch of the ship and met everyone on board. It's been so long since we've last seen each other too. We definitely need to take some time to stop by my quarters and get reacquainted. You can now access every area of the Gundog. Select the talk button to view a list of who's available to talk to. If you change your mind, select the talk button again. You look around the central hub as Cassandra already begins to make her way to your first destination, waving at you to follow. It might be a small ship, you think, but now would be the perfect opportunity to learn its layout and familiarize yourself with where you'll be spending your current duty. Plus, you admit, it wouldn't hurt to meet all the crew. Better to get to know them sooner rather than later. I still feel like we should go to the bridge. You know, it's kind of funny now that I think about it. What is? This area is called the Central Hub, but to be honest, the only places you can get to straight away from here are the airlocks, sickbay, or the bridge. Well, it's right in the middle of the ship, so it connects everything together via the two thoroughfares, right? Kind of, but if you want to get to engineering to do some mechanical work, you've got a long way to go that way. Then if you want to do pretty much anything else, you've got to go the other way. The Foresight Thoroughfare is way more of a hub, since you can get to all sorts of places really quickly. You get some snacks from the mess hall to take back to your quarters, easy. If you want a quick soda whilst taking audit in the hangar, you're there and back in no time. They should move the bridge to the front of the ship. It sounds to me like you just want a vending machine on the bridge. Hey, that's not a bad idea. But still, it's a long way to get to the other end of the ship, no matter where you're going from. How would you solve that problem? Maybe change the shape of the ship so the central is really the center? It's space. You could just make it a really efficient shape, like a cube or something. A cube. I guess it could be efficient, but I don't think anyone would take a cube-shaped ship seriously. Oh, we're just gonna shoot some strays at the Borg. Let's try and see if we can we move to the bridge? Let's try. We can. You step from the elevator onto the bridge, and what seems to have been a pretty quiet atmosphere turns totally silent as the two women present, who had previously been observing the screen, turn to face you. You identify the captain almost immediately by her uniform, although you are given pause to wonder if you've misjudged, as she listlessly straightens up and heads over to you with an air of disinterest. The other woman shoots you a look but remains seated at her station. You quickly turning away when she realizes you've caught her looking your way. The curtness of her reaction catches you off guard as she quickly returns to what she'd been doing before you entered. Hopefully Cassie's presence can thaw what you feel might be a cold reception. Lieutenant Bloblobicus entering the bridge and reporting for a formal assignment. You declare, throwing a sharp salute to Cassandra, with Cassandra quickly following suit. Lieutenant Commander Cassandra Quinn entering the bridge in accompaniment of Lieutenant Blobicus. You're taken aback slightly as you realize that you've hardly ever seen Cassie be serious about anything, even her position. Whenever she's had to talk about her assignments, it's always been dismissive or in a joking way. You're caught off guard that you almost miss you're so caught off guard that you almost missed the captain addressing you. At ease, Commander. You and Cassie both lower your salutes and loosen your posture slightly. There's a slight pause, which you can tell is the captain seizing you up. This informal assignment lasts a little bit longer than you're comfortable with until the captain releases a heavy sigh. Welcome aboard, Lieutenant. I appreciate your prompt appearance. You'll have to forgive me for not coming to formally welcome you to the Gundog when you first boarded. The order to depart was an urgent one, and we needed to head out as soon as possible. We wouldn't have left without you, of course. We'd been given word that your transport was running late and the system notified us when you were on board. So I made the decision to set sails as soon as we received you. Thinking about it, it was unusual that there hadn't been a formal onboarding process beyond the dock staff checking your ID and guiding you onto the Gundog. You'd not realized in your rush, but now it was obvious. But it did make sense that if this was an urgent dispatch, the ship would launch as soon as all of its crew were on board. Not a problem at all, ma'am. I apologize for the tardiness. There's another pause before the captain responds. You can't help but feel a little bit uncomfortable, unsure whether the captain is slowly deliberating something or engaging this conversation with as little energy as possible. Think nothing of it. These things happen. Anyway, Lieutenant, I'd like to take the opportunity to formally welcome you to the JFS Gundog. My name is Captain Maurice Bartomeus. I run as tight a ship as you'd expect, and I anticipate that you carry out your duties to the same standard. Yes, ma'am. From experience, most onboarding procedures have involved greetings and speeches from the captain that have ranged from serious to almost ceremonial in comparison. Captain Bartomeus' introduction is almost lethargic. Your card, Lieutenant. Yes, ma'am. The item buttons will activate when you're able to use items from your inventory. In some cases, you'll need to use the items to proceed, but in others, where you can use an item or not is up to you. When possible, select the item button to open the inventory and select the items used. To dismiss the inventory again, press the item button again. My security keycard. As security officer, it allows me to access almost anywhere or anything on the ship. She inspects it for a moment before taking it to a control panel near the captain's chair. You remain in position, not quite at ease, but not quite at attention. You watch as she enters some commands into the consoles before inserting your card into a slot. There's a sound of whirring followed by a series of beeps before your card is ejected and the captain takes it back. By selecting the function button, you can now access a map of the ship, allowing you to move from one location to another without visiting areas in between. If an event happens anywhere in the way, you'll move to that location instead. You can also view your current objective and other important information. To return, select the function button again. Oh, there is a button here that we need. Okay, then I need to move the blob. Over here. Function. During Colony Fleet Datapad. Captain's quarters. Cassandra's quarters. Crew quarters corridor. Thoroughfare. Mess hall. Fire control hangar. Crew quarters. Your quarters. Central hub. Airlock. Armory. After thoroughfare. Sick bay. Engine room, engineering, and central computer. Alright. Oh, is this just a lot of information? Holy. Alright, who's ready? Who's ready for a little session of Blob Reads a Lot? Armored frames, humanoid machines used by different factions throughout the solar system as the backbone of their armed forces. Typically between 15 to 20 meters tall and operated by a single pilot. Armored frames are the weaponized version of worker frames and proved to be instrumental in the outcome of the Solar War. They were largely developed for space combat, but ground use variations have also proven their value. E-magazines. Short for electronic magazines, digital publications that took the place of traditional magazines and colonies to save on material and production costs. Containing the same information as normal magazines, they are downloaded from digital networks, with most spacefarers having subscriptions that allow their ship to download the latest issues whenever they dock. Electroshock weapons. Weapons used by ship security in the event of crew hostilities, insubordination, mutinies, etc. They fire barbed rounds that contain small batteries which discharge a shock once contact is made, utilized by ship security instead of conventional firearms due to both their non-lethal nature and to remove the risk of depressurization. The electroshock weapons are the Gundog. On the Gundog resemble an oversized revolver. We have a big one. Big iron on our hip. Europa Colony. A Stanford Taurus type space colony in the orbit of Jupiter's moon Europa. Supporting roughly 200,000 people, it serves as the political center of the Jovian Unified Colony Fleet. Europa Cluster. The group of space colonies in the orbit around Jupiter's moon Europa. Europa Colony is the premier colony in the cluster. Extravehicular activity, also known as EVA, or as a spacewalk. It is any activity that takes place in space but outside of a craft that could include repairs to the exterior of a ship or traversing the surface of an asteroid. Flight, the term used to refer to a squadron of armored frames. Gravity shell, the system built into a ship structure that enables artificial gravity on board a spacecraft. Typically, it's weakest towards the exterior of the ship and sometimes absent entirely from areas like hangar or launch base. A gravity shell is too large and resource intensive to be built into anything much smaller than a ship. Higgs field distortion drive, the breakthrough technology that allows near speed of light travel throughout the solar system. For more information on a need-to-know basis, please contact your chief engineer. Jovian. The term used to refer to both the colonies who live near Jupiter and anything associated with the Jovian Unified Colony Fleet. For example, Jovian Armored Frame, Jovian Soldiers, etc. Jovian Colony Fleet. Abbreviated to JCF, the military fleet belongs to the Jovian Unified Colony Fleet. Jovian Fleet Ship. Abbreviated to JFS. The ship prefix used for ships of the JCF Navy. Jovian Unified Colony Fleet. A political entity made up of all the space colonies either in the orbit of Jupiter or her moons, originally set up as company towns, where the inhabitants worked in heavy industry and resource harvesting. The colonists eventually rebelled with the assistance of the Solar Federation and became an independent entity under Solar Federation jurisdiction. Following the Solar War, it asserted its independence and is now entirely autonomous. Juno, the main model of armored frame produced by the JCF, named after the Roman goddess Juno, wife of Jove. The workhorse of JCF, Junos are favored for their utility, hardness, and ease of use in manufacturing. The Gundog carries two Juno 3s, the latest version. Luna, the formal name given to Earth's moon once settled by the Solar Federation. It acted as the center of manufacture and commerce for the Solar Federation, where they encompassed the entire solar system, but following the Solar War, it has lost that position. Martian territories. A coalition of space colonies, city-states, and large-scale industrial operations based on or near Mars and the asteroid belt. Originally financed by Earth-based industrialists, it later gained self-governance with Solar Federation assistance. Following the Solar War, the territories asserted their independence and are now entirely autonomous. Nuclear pulse engines. A type of engine that uses controlled nuclear explosions to provide thrust. That sounds safe. Typically used in addition to traditional fuel-based thrusters when traversing distances too small to require the use of Higgs field distortion drive. Nutri-Shakes, a meal replacement that comes in powdered form and can be added to water to make a beverage that can supply someone's entire nutritional requirements. Typically used in ships that are too small to carry an entire voyage's worth of synthetic reproduction rations. Planetary calendar, abbreviated to PC. The calendar that takes over from Common Era or Anno Domini, formally taken up following the successful colonization of Mars. Sol, the short way to refer to either the entire solar system or just its sun. Solar Federation, an Earth-based political entity that prior to the Solar War governed the entire solar system following its defeat at the Battle of Lunar. It formally surrendered control of all territories, colonies, and installations in Martian space and beyond. Solar War, a conflict between the Solar Federation and the allied forces of the Jovian Unified Colony Fleet and Martian territories that started PC-206 and ended PC-209. Originally caused by disagreements between the Earth-based government of the Solar Federation and other factions regarding civil liberties and taxation. The war resulted in a loss for the Solar Federation. Synthetic reproduction rations. Long-life ingredients made from hypoallergenic vegan compounds to imitate stable foods such as meats, vegetables, and various carbohydrates, able to be cooked in a convincing approximation of most meals. Typical shelf life unopened is 10 years. Terminal, a device that resembles a computer but relies on a central computing or mainframe for its processing requirements. Holy hell, that was a lot of reading. Task. Get familiar with the Gundog and her crew. Introduce yourself to all of the Gundog's crews. Visit the armory. Collect your duty sidearm. Visit the bridge. Introduce yourself to the captain. Introduce yourself to the other bridge officer. Visit the airlock. Visit the captain's quarters. Visit the Cassandra's quarters. Catch up with Cassandra. Visit the central computing. Visit engineering. Visit the engine room. Visit fire control. Visit the hangar. Visit the mess hall. Visit the sick bay. Show Cassandra your quarters. I think we're done with function. This, Lieutenant Blobicus, you now have access to all areas and authorities befitting the ship's security detail. Your responsibility begins with immediate effect. Thank you, ma'am. You're also now authorized to take an appropriate electroshock weapon from the armory. If you have any further questions, then you know where to find me. Dismissed. Let's just check if that... yeah, we've now introduced ourselves to the captain. Let's see, we can talk to the captain again. Actually, let's talk to the captain again, see if she's anything else to say. Yes, Lieutenant? Captain, when I received my posting to the Gundog, I was informed of my role, but I didn't receive the ship's briefing documents. If I may, what's the Gundog's objective? We're being alerted by another Swift-class patrol vessel, the O'Brien, about signals coming from the edge of our territory. The O'Brien is currently on a solo patrol in outer Jovian space, so we've been sent to provide backup or support as necessary. Of course, if something were to attack two Swifts, it's not as if they could put up much of a fight. Really, it's more a case that we're out there, so that if anything does happen, at least one vessel will be able to get away to warn the colony fleet. I see. Oh, did I just say that out loud? Yes, ma'am. Forget what I just said. That's an order. Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's talk to this Vanessa. Excuse me, Lieutenant. I'm currently on duty, so I would appreciate it if you did not disturb me. Lieutenant... Lieutenant Blobicus is the ship's head of security. Since I'm here, you can take the time to introduce yourself formally. Great, I've got this. See you in 5. So you're the security officer that Cassandra's been going on about? That's right, Lieutenant Blobicus. Pleased to meet you. Well, I'm Vanessa Lord. I serve on the bridge as part of the operations. Cassandra's told me a lot about you. Is that right? What kind of? I'm disappointed that you're nowhere near as attractive as she made you out to be. HR? Hello, HR? Oh, is that, right. I thought it was too good to be true that some dashing officer would be transferred here at the last minute. Instead, we've just got another lunk. Well, how was it you even got transferred here on such short notice? I was looking over your records earlier, and you were mid-assignment in the Duke. Why would they transfer you instead of... Oh, hey, look at the time. I think your break's over. Lieutenant Commander Quinn, I think Vanessa needs to get back on her station. Of course. I hope this is the start of a productive working relation between the two of you. Vanessa, I'll catch up with you later, okay? So I found the tsundere. Yes, Lieutenant? How can I be of assistance? Cassie, you're being respectful, Lieutenant Blobicus. I would appreciate if you'd address me as Lieutenant Commander Quinn. Ah, I see. Let's move back to the central hub and see if she's still mad. You know, it's kind of funny now that I think about it. What is? Or it's just the same thing. Okay, so it's just on the bridge she's all business because it's in front of the captain, I guess. Okay. Let's see, tasks. We're here. So we need to go to the after thoroughfare and then we can get to the armory. Okay. The two of you leave the central hub behind and you travel down the after side thoroughfare. The hum of the engines continues to grow louder. You'd effectively filtered the noise out in the rest of the ship, but as you get closer to the rear of the ship, its volume increases considerably. Are the engines supposed to be that loud? Are the what? I said, are the engines supposed to be that loud? The what? I said, are the engines... I heard you the first time, I'm just messing with you. You could have fooled me. I've never been on a ship where the engines are so noticeable. It's supposed to be like that. Supposed to? No, not really, but the Gundog is a Swift class, a type of patrol ship that's designed for rapid response. They're made to cover large areas of space quickly and offer basic assistance to ships in distress. That, or to be the first in the scene to gather intel and issue warnings if anyone comes too close to Jovian space. Which means, design-wise, they prioritize speed above everything else. I guess the best way to sum it all up is that the Gundog is basically a huge set of engines with a tiny ship strapped to them. Well, that's reassuring. Oh, it's fine. It just means there's no space for systems like motion dampeners or soundproofing. You'll miss it when you leave. That way leads to the engine block. From there you can access the engine room, the main computer and most of the ship's systems. Although you won't be going anywhere near those systems if the Chief has anything to say about it. Down that corridor is the armory where all the ship's firearms are stored. Normally access has to be granted from the bridge, but since you're a security officer you got access coded into your key card. So go to the armory. Shove your keycard through the card reader set into the terminal by the armory door. There's a slight delay, but quickly enough the terminal flashes at the message, access granted, and the door slides open. The first thing you notice about the armory is that the benches and lockers remind you of changing rooms from the training center back at the military academy in Europa colony. As you walk past them, you take a closer look and realize that they're that they're the exact same kind of benches used on the larger ships that you've been stationed on, which had sport facilities and changing rooms on board. Instead of sports clothing and equipment, these lockers are filled with a selection of combat gear, from body armor or electroshock weapons to a variety of small and light weapons. You know, this is the first time I've actually been inside a ship's armory. That's not really surprising. It's only the security detail that would have access. Even in a situation where a ship's expecting to encounter a boarding party, it's security's responsibility to distribute weaponry to the crew in advance. It's to ensure there's no panic or crew don't get a hold of weaponry they're not trained to use. Huh. That's your standard regulations, you should know that. Well, all I remember from my firearm training was when I dropped my electroshock weapon and accidentally zapped one of the other girls from the operations. Our training made me use a hand crank battery charger to recharge all the weapon packs as punishment. That must have taken forever. You bet! You should have seen my gun show afterwards. Pew pew. Which reminds me, the captain said I was authorized to collect my sidearm. I should get it whilst I'm here. The spacesuits in here are for the ship's security detail. They're a little bit more robust than the suits handed out to the rest of the crew, for obvious reasons, but aside from that, they don't offer much of a tactical advantage. This lock contains electroshock weapons. They're non-lethal and intended to be used for crew control in case of mutinies or violence that breaks out for some reason. This lock contains a variety of small arms and light weapons. They're only for use against external hostile forces. Even then, their stopping power is relatively low because of the danger of using live rounds inside of a ship. This is the weapons locker with the electroshock weapons. I'm authorized to take one small weapon from here as part of my role as security officer. This one will do. You've got an electroshock gun. That's a cool design for a gun. What's that? It's just my standard issue duty weapon for my role as security officer. It fires bar projectiles that contain a miniature battery. It's non-lethal, but more than enough to stop someone in the tracks. I see. Absolutely not. Aw, come on! I have a feeling she wanted to try and use it. Accessing a weapon locker sends an automatic alert to the bridge. Even if I wanted to examine the weaponry, I wouldn't want to set off an alarm up there without telling anyone what I was doing. There's no reason to use those now. They're a real pain to put back as well. Accessing weapon locker sends an automatic alert to the bridge. I've already taken up my duty weapon. I don't want to have to explain to the captain why I'm playing around with the armory, so I'll leave it alone. An electroshock gun. It uses non-lethal rounds to send 50,000 volts to the target. 50,000! I mean, technically you can send however many volts you like, as long as you're not sending any amps, people are gonna be fine. It's intended for use against the crew in case of violence that can't be de-escalated. I have a feeling, if any of you are familiar with writing, this is a Chekhov's gun. We've been given a gun. This gun will be fired at some point. Let's move to engineering for now. As you continue through the aft thoroughfare, the trum of the engines grow louder still. The featureless paneling that has made up the majority of the ship's interior quickly gives way to visible pipes and conduits, and eventually the smooth flooring transitions to grating, revealing more working underfoot. Finally, the thoroughfare leads into one huge open chamber, filled with masses of machinery. Terminal panels set into the side of various apparatus cycle through different readings. The light from the screens reflect off ducts and valves. All this equipment is separated by a grid of catwalks and access ladders. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is right. This is central engineering. Pretty much every system aside from the engines themselves and the central computer can be found in this room. All in one place. Isn't that a little risky? Well, a Swift-class ship relies on absolutely minimal crew. The Gundog only has 2 engineers. I think they figured it'd be easier for them as everything that was important was kept in one place. That way they don't have to run from one end of the ship to the other to get all their repairs done if something goes wrong. Huh, you certainly know a lot about ship engineering. What can I say? I'm a pretty talented individual. Oh yeah. While we're here, you can share some of that knowledge. What's that over there? That's the Folenic conversion unit. And what's that? Oh, that's the omnifaceted wane shaft. Uh-huh. And what about that? That's the turbocabulator? Every day's a school day. I'm head of operations, not chief engineer, okay? I don't need to know what. Hey, no one better be screwing around up here. You both jump as a stern voice barks at you from below. Looking down, you see through the grating there's another catwalk situated below the one you stood on, with a crew member moving at speed towards the ladder that joins the 2 walkways. I swear, if I find so much as a single terminal readout out of place, I'm stuffing the 2 of you into the organic processing systems. If I have to retrieve one more pen from behind the compressors. The crew member continues to grumble as they ascend. Quinn, you better not be here to tell me that your favorite pen has somehow fallen into the system block again. Also, holy fucking shit, she's a unit. This girl is a complete unit. Holy. Aha, no, Chief. Got it right here. Damn straight you do. Now make sure you hang on to that one, or you're gonna need someone to pull you out of the system block again. And who's this? A wayward security officer. Got a name there? Quickly throw a sharp salute at the woman in front of you without even checking her rank first. Not only does she loom over you physically, but you quickly pick up on her force of personality that feels like it adds an extra 6 inches to her considerable stature. Lieutenant Blobicus, security officer for the JFS Gundog, ma'am. That's all that man business, Blobicus. Name's Mackenzie. Cathays, chief engineer. So that's chief to you. Yes, ma'am, chief. Damn straight. Now what are you 2 doing in engineering? I was just giving Lieutenant Blobicus a tour of the ship, chief. That's so. Never been on a ship before, Lieutenant? First assignment? Never on a Swift class, chief. I've only served on a strike or supply class to date. That's so. Which strike vessels? The JFS Victory and the JFS Thunderbolt, chief. Victory and Thunderbolt, huh? Don't think either of these 2 are less than 3 years old, so probably wouldn't have seen with the new streamlined distribution systems. I wonder if you would have seen the power coils, though. I think the Victory is part of that production. You and Cassandra exchanged a quick, nervous glance as the chief, who previously seemed like she was about to physically throw both of you out of engineering, suddenly begins a conversation with herself. You continue to stand at nervous attention as she ruminates about ship components. Chief, is there anything I can help you with about those ships? Oh, huh? Lieutenant, didn't realize you were still here. No, you're off the hook, Blobicus. Not unless you can tell me whether the Victory was outfitted with the 3rd generation BPAC upgrades, anyway. Sorry, Chief, don't think I could. Wonder if that's because the retrofitting takes into account space availability in the ship's interior for minimal traversal impact. Although, maybe it could be that it takes... I think now would be a good time for us to move on. Good idea. Well, that's all, Chief. We'll just be going now. Oh yeah, sure. Don't let me catch you screwing around in here again. Victoria watched from around the corner as Chief Cathways continued to mutter to herself, paces back and forth checking terminal readouts on various displays. Eventually she heads down the ladder that she'd climbed to confront you. Now outside, Cassandra darts towards the engine room, gesturing you over. Checking over your shoulder in case the Chief has disappeared, you make your way to her. Just in time for the doorway to the engine room to open and Cassandra to disappear inside before you can raise an objection. Well, it's got to be better than staying here with the Chief. The room you find yourself in is a similar size to the area you just left. But whilst that was crammed full of a huge array of machinery, this room is almost entirely filled by one colossal cylindrical device. The pulse of the engine is now a tangible sensation as the vibration it emits shake your whole body. So this is the main engine, well, one of them anyway. Like Chief said, the ship's outfitted with two of these. I see what you meant now when you said the Gundog's a huge set of engines with a ship shape strapped to them. That thing's massive. I know. I look at it and I feel like you could probably fit the rest of the ship in this room if the engine weren't there. That's because it's impossible to get the Higgs field distortion drive any smaller. She is also stealthy. Okay. Ah, Chief. Oh, Chief, I know you said that so these engines are actually combination nuclear pulse engines built around a Higgs field distortion drive. If the HFDD wasn't there, then this engine would be about 10 times smaller than it is. Although I hear they managed to improve the efficiency of newer NPs, so it's possible that the space save could be more like 11 times smaller. Can you two tell me how an HFDD works? HFDD? Higgs field distortion drive. What are they teaching you at the Academy? It's the drive that allows ships to move far beyond speeds allowed by conventional engines, although it's nowhere near faster than light. It's what lets us get around the solar system without needing to worry when we'll live long enough to see the end of the journey. Anyway, everyone knows about the extension of the Higgs field. It's what allows interaction with the Higgs boson. It gives particles their mass. Oh, right. So what a drive does is warp the field related to the ship and those on board. By doing this, it displaces the mass to a different area of space, but within that same relative. As the Chief continues on with her explanation, you glance at Cassandra and see a thinly veiled look of horror on her face. You can't blame her, she feels much the same way caught in this impromptu lecture. Then, because the particles retain their relationship with each other, the general perception is that things are the same as normal. However, from an exterior perspective, the lecture drags on and you quickly lose track of the Chief's explanation. Although you recognize the words she's saying, you can no longer make sense of the context, and they come to seem like a meaningless string of sounds. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the field is it's got the mass, which is pushed? No. How to put it? Okay, so imagine that space is a ketchup packet, and you're the sauce. The sauce? Right, the sauce. Now, what the distortion drive does is like a thumb on the universe of the packet. It moves the sauce around by changing the shape of the packet to push the sauce. The packet is the universe, you're the sauce, and the drive is a thumb? You've got it. You quickly glance back to Cassandra and meet her eyes as she's doing the same thing. You know for certain that neither of you have got it. And that's why the engines have to be so big to house that drive. Oh, it all makes sense now. I see. Yes, definitely. Great. Now that you appreciate the science behind it, I won't have to throw you out of here. Thanks, Chief. Anyway, just remember, Lieutenant. Yes, Chief? Screw with anything, I'll throw you out of the airlock instead. Yes, Chief. Sauce? Okay, this is kind of funny, I will give. Let's go to the central computer. Swipe your key card through the card reader set into the terminal by the door leading to central computing. The door doesn't open. Instead, you hear a harsh tone from the terminal, which is now displaying an error message. Looking at the screen, you see a message displaying in large flashing letters. Access denied, insufficient authority. Oh, even with your security clearance, you won't be able to get into the main computer room. Because the staff is so small, the ship's computer handles a lot of tasks that would normally be done by the crew. I think this has been translated. It controls a lot of really sensitive functions, so only the captain and the operations teams are allowed access. Oh, I don't think any of the ships I've been on had a computer system like this. The bigger ships usually have their computing distributed amongst multiple systems across the ship. But because they've got larger crews, there's more that the people on board are responsible for. I think that's because the Swift class is so small and there's such a limited crew, you need to assign more functionality to the computer. Because of that, it's a lot more vital that no one screws around with it. I see. You said that operations have access. Can you take a look? Can we take a look using your authority? Well, since the whole reason I'm here is that I didn't exactly take my responsibilities with the Reliance computer system seriously, the captains told me not to mess around with it. Ah. But it's not that interesting anyway. Central hub? Let's take a look. What do we have left on tasks? Well, let's go to the sick bay. The elevator doors hiss open and you both step out into a wide open room. You're immediately struck by the glare of the high-powered lights that are set into the ceiling, and just as you regain your vision, the powerful aroma of clinical disinfectant burns at your nostrils. Looking around, you see the standard feature of a sick bay. A set of beds that extrude from the wall on one side of a large gallery window set into the wall, on the other indicating the presence of a surgery wing. Oh, okay. The walls are lined with cupboards and cabinets containing medical supplies and various devices set on countertops. In the middle of the room is a large desk set to face the entrance. On the side closest to you are two chairs. On the other sits a figure that you almost mistake for a piece of medical equipment until they look up. Miss Quinn, excellent timing. I've just finished the analysis of your... Hey Doc, don't worry about that right now. I'm giving a tour to our new security officer. Very good, Miss Quinn. Hello, Lieutenant Blobicus. I'm the ship's doctor, Cypher Rosarian. I received your file already, so please feel free to stop by with any complaints. But since you're here, Miss Quinn, I'd really like to talk to you about your gastro. Honestly, Doctor, it's fine. We can talk about it. Intestinal. Doctor, later. Distress. Gastrointestinal distress. Okay, Doctor, a moment, please. Honey, if you could just give me a few minutes with the doctor. Yeah, no problem. Cassandra grabs the doctor by his sleeve and drags him over to the surgery wing, yanking him through behind her. Once the door closes, you can't hear them, but you can still see the two through the gallery window. Decide to turn your attention away and examine a nearby poster on space illness. Yes, thank you, Doctor, I understand. So that includes any synthetic meat or carbohydrates. Understood. But as I've explained, I've got a full supply of Nutri-Shake powders that should serve as balanced replacement for the meals from the food vendor, and should alleviate your doctor. Tummy troubles. This tour's moving on. I like this doctor. This portion of the sickbay is separated off for surgical procedures. It has its own separate environmental control and is completely sealed from the rest of the ship when in use. It also contains robotic assistant units It's state of the art, but you still never want to end up in there. Let's talk to the doctor. Lieutenant, are you feeling unwell? No, I'm feeling fine. Have you come to pick up any medication? No, I'm totally alright, thanks. Have you come for a precautionary checkup? No, nothing like that. Then are you here to ask about my mechanical elements? What? No, of course not. Oh. In that case, Lieutenant Blobkus, I'm not sure I can help you today. Don't worry about it. Jesus. I guess we go to the bridge and... Oh. Whoops, wrong one. Let's go to the airlock. And this is the main airlock. It's the main way to get on and off the ship when it's docked. Thanks, but I've already been here. Oh, really? When? Actually, I think I'm confusing with somewhere else. What else can you tell me? Well, it's got one of the best views on the ship, for one thing. You look around but can't see any windows. You would expect it on a military vessel, where an inclusion like that would compromise the structure. Here, really? Yeah, really, check it out. Cassandra strives over to the terminal set in the wall next to the airlock hatch and quickly begins typing command into it. You hear a sequence of beeps as he stands back gesturing proudly to the screen. We're about to die! Not too bad, huh? You look at the screen, but all you can see is a dark display with a few errant pixels suspended on it. Is that working? Of course it's working, look! You stare a little harder at the screen, and although it takes you a moment, you eventually realize that's an external feed. That's right, normally you can only actually see out of the gun dock from either the bridge or the hangar. But the ship's covered in small cameras for combat operations. You can access the feeds from the terminals around the ship. That's actually pretty cool, but isn't the view from the bridge or the hangar better, you know, because you're actually looking out? Well, maybe, but there's always someone else around. You never get the view to yourself. No one ever comes here, and it's so quiet. It's almost like you're out there. I guess I can see what you mean. It's pretty quiet out this way, and with a fancy screen like that, it's basically the real view. I knew you'd understand. I'll add the command to your terminal access. That way you can come here and see the stars whenever you want. Thanks. That's honestly quite sweet. Okay, let's take a look at the map. So we need to go to the Foresight. As you head away from the central hub, the noise from the engines becomes quieter and the ambient temperature feels noticeably cooler. The thoroughfare stretches out in front of you with doorways leading to other areas of the ship in the distance. And here we are in the fortified thoroughfare. I know. I went to my quarters earlier when I came aboard. What did you just say? Foresight thoroughfare? No, I don't think you did. I 100% said Foresight. Thoroughfare. Aha! It's a tricky thing to say. You try saying it quickly. Foresight thoroughfare. Foresight thoroughfare. Foresight thoroughfare. Aha, yourself. Go this one, jealous. Okay, so they were arguing about how it's pronounced. Okay, I get it. Let's go to Crew Portal Corridor 1. So your quarters are down this way, huh? That's right. Why? I was wondering where you'd be. On Swift class, there's two different quarter sections. One has all department chiefs, whilst the other has the crew that work within those departments. Since you're the only security officer on board, I was wondering if you'd count as department head or not. Well, I guess I don't. I'm just slumming it. Oh, that's not what I meant was that, I'm messing with you. Don't worry about it. The head of security is typical under the captain's instructions anyway, so it makes sense that my quarters are down this way. Oh. I guess so when you put it like that. So, have you met any of your neighbors yet? Well, let's see. I haven't, I think. You step into your quarters, Cassandra follows you in. She stands by the door for a moment, looking around the room before turning to face you. Wow, you really like to keep it tidy, don't you? I've only just got here. There's a lot of time to make a mess. Are you kidding? I'm pretty sure my bag exploded the moment I stepped into my quarters. Jovian military supplies just aren't what they used to be, or maybe it was operator error? What's that supposed to mean, Lieutenant? Nothing. Just considering all possibilities. Wait, is that... What? Lieutenant Blobicus, don't tell me that. What? What is it? Your chair is not perfectly aligned with the terminal. I guess nobody's perfect, huh? I would have made more of an effort if I knew the officer doing a spot check was such a stickler. I suppose I won't have to report you to the captain this time. Alright, let's see what other tasks do we have. Mess hall, hangar, fire control. Let's go directly to fire control first. Moving beyond the mess hall and the hangar access, the two of you continue to the furthest end of the four-side thoroughfare. The door at the very end of the corridor is shut, the words fire control painted on in large stencilized letters. Cassandra swipes her card through the reader and the door by the door before turning to you. So this is fire control. The gunner's probably here, but, well, you'll see. That's pretty cryptic. As you follow Cassandra through the doorway, your eyes take a moment to adjust as the strip lighting that illuminates the rest of the ship is now conspicuously absent. Instead, the entire room is lit by the phosphorus glow from an alcove above, full of screens and readouts. Looking at the screens, each one seems to be showing much more than a few specks on a dark background. From experience, though, you know that what you're looking at is live feed from cameras all over the ship's exterior. In the center of the alcove, facing away from you, is a seat like the ones in the bridge. From this angle, it's impossible to tell if there's anyone in it, but you notice a tinny, rhythmic hiss coming from it. So anyway, all the ship's weapon systems are controlled from here. These screens give the gunner a panoramic view of... Is the gunner here right now? You look over Cassandra's shoulder at the back of the seat. You swear you see a quick flicker of movement. But you can't be sure. It's not just a flash of a readout reflecting off of the surface. Oh, Dylan. Yeah, he's here. Should we say hello? Well, normally I would, but Cassandra leans back slowly as if trying to surreptitiously sneak a peek at what's going on the other side of the chair without it noticing her. She quickly turns back to you after a moment's pause. He just looks so into the zone, you know. It seems a shame to interrupt him. Interrupt what? Cassandra leans back again, and after a moment, quietly gestures for you to take a look. Sat in the chair is a man that looks a little bit older than you. His eyes are closed and his face is the picture of absolute serenity. Over his ears are possibly the largest pair of headphones you've seen in your entire life. As he sits there oblivious to your presence, his right leg bounces up and down and his wrists flick constantly. You wonder for a moment if he's okay before spying a cassette player poking out of his jacket pocket. You realize that the hiss you hear is the slightest whisper of the music that he's listening to escape from those substantial headphones. Is this okay? Shouldn't he be a bit more attentive? Don't worry, it's fine. He's not even on duty. Yeah, but what if there's an alert? This whole this whole ship is a security hazard. Let's find out. Cassandra moves over to a panel just before the monitor laden alcove, takes a receiver off the wall and enters a few numbers into the keypad. Hi, Vanessa. Yeah, it's Cassie. Can we test the alert system in fire control? No, I know it's not scheduled. It's a spot check. Yeah, random testing, you know. Chief's orders. Of course, she asked. Why would I be asking for a spot check of the alert in fire control if Chief didn't ask? You're a darling. Thanks. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Loud! In an instant, you see the figure in the chair bolt upright, yank their headphones off, and lay their hands on the fire control systems. Their head snaps back and forth as they rapidly survey the wall of monitors. False alarm? Hey, Dylan, don't mind us. Just had to do a spot check of the alarm system. Chief's orders. Oh, hey, Quinn. No problem. Who's this? Lieutenant Bloblobcus, ship security. Oh, hey, Warrant Officer Dylan Dees, gunner. Welcome aboard. Thanks. Well, let me know if you guys need anything. That alert totally got in the way of an awesome solo, so I'm going to rewind and pick up where I left off. Good to meet you. I think he may be a little bit autistic. Maybe. Warrant Officer Dees. Warrant Officer Dees. Dylan! Oh, hey, Lieutenant. How's it going? Not bad, thanks. I wonder if you could explain the control systems here to me. It doesn't look anything like what I've seen before. Huh? Oh yeah, if you've not been on a small ship like the Gundog, it probably does look weird. Bigger ships have more crew space, so that they can have old-fashioned turret operators. On a ship like this, where there's only one dude flying solo, the whole system's optimized to let them run the entire weapon system alone. Each of these trackballs links out to different weapon systems, which is represented by reticles shown on the screen. By rolling the balls, I can move the targeting reticle from screen to screen, and to fire, all I need to do is point and click. That's pretty clever. Only works so well because we've got the computer doing most of the heavy lifting. On bigger ships, the gunners have a lot more physical control. On a ship like this, it's more like playing a really intense video game. And I really like those spaceship video games. I'd rather play a racing game or something instead. It's not too bad. Now the war's over, we're not shooting anyone anytime soon. So I get to spend all my time here listening to music and staring out into space. Pretty much perfect. Listening to anything good? Yeah, a real classic album right now. Ever hear of Trish and the Replicants? Oh, sorry. Come by later and I'll lend you a cassette. It's pretty good for such an old band. Thanks for the offer. You know, he does seem like a nice guy. Let's see, let's go to crew quarters, quarter 2. And this is the second set of crew quarters where operations staff, that's me and Vanessa, the department heads and the captain have their quarters. Makes sense. Of course, it's obvious why you'd come this way so soon after finding out I was part of the crew. What do you mean? Wait, hey, I'm on duty right now, you know. I know, and despite that, you've let your libido guide you to my quarters, you animal. Let's maybe save that for later, okay? You tease. try and go to the captain's quarters. The captain's quarters sits at the end of the corridor, differentiated from the other doors in the corridor by a small insignia that sits above the nameplate. Like the others in the corridor, it displays the occupant's name, in this case, Captain Marius Bartemius. Even in your role as security officer, there are a few rooms in the ship that you don't have access to. The captain's quarters is one of them. There's nothing for you here right now, so you turn back. I think we'll save Cassandra's quarters for later. Let's go to the mess hall. And here we have the highlight of this entire tour, the mess hall. Cassandra's face is radiating happiness as she gestures throughout the double doorway that just stood by into the mess hall. Looking inside, you see a canteen like any other. Tables, chairs, vending machines, it's all there. This is the highlight. It looks like a pretty standard mess hall to me. You bet! Do you know why? Tell me. Because they've got both of the different kind of vending machines. The red one that stocks the spicy potato chips and the white one that has all the different chocolate bars. Wow, so that's all bases covered, huh? They cut all the fundamental food groups. I'm not sure. Hey, Quinn! A rough voice called out from further in. You hadn't noticed them previously because of Cassandra's enthusiastic presentation of the vending machines, but someone sat in the far corner, stands up, drops a half-smoked cigarette into a coffee cup and strides over. What's going on, Quinn? Who's this? Lieutenant Rumney. We were just, were you just smoking in the mess hall? Take it easy, Quinn. I was just sat right by the extractor vent for the meal vendor. No harm, no foul. That's not the point. The extra stain on the air scrubbers from cigarette. Yeah. So anyway, who's this hottie? That was the Metal Gear alert. Well, cat's got a tongue. Name's Horror Rumney. What about you, good looking? Oh, Lieutenant Bloblobicus, ship security. Bloblobicus? No way. Really? Last time I checked. Oh, alright. Good to know. That's all for me, Blobicus. You know where my quarters are, right? Well, you're lost, Lieutenant. Catch you nerds later. What was all that about? I can't stand them sometimes. They swagger around the ship like they own the place just because they're one of the only 2 pilots on board. Newsflash, Horror's second pilot out of the 2 is last place. You don't worry about them too much. They're not worth it. I have a feeling like someone may be jealous. Is there somewhere I can throw this away? Normally the coffee would go into the organic processing, but because they dumped the cigarettes in there, it'll need to go into waste disposal. What a waste. I know. It's not like our grandparents' era where everything in and out had to be balanced, but I can't stand when people ruin recyclables. Hey Cassie, have you had lunch yet? Should we get something from the vendor? Oh, sorry, I'd forgotten about what you discussed with the doctor. No, it's fine, I guess. Missing out on my favorite hamburger pineapple salad is a small price to pay for not putting up with... well, you know. Cassie, shall we get some chips or something? Maybe we should wait until we explore a bit more of the ship before we take some time off for a snack break. Not like you to pass up a snack break, but sure. Hangar. As two of you head down the four-side thoroughfare and away from the crew quarters, Cassie stops by a double-sized doorway and runs her keycard through the reader next to it. Watch your step! She instructs, tapping her knuckles on a large warning sign next to the door that reads Low Gravity Zone. Once the door opens, she heads through and you follow her into a wide stairwell. It only takes 2 sets of steps before you can feel yourself grow lighter. By the time you reach the doorway at the bottom, you're almost floating. Stepping into the hangar and onto the catway, the first thing that strikes you are the profiles of 2 armored frames, stood as if on guard, facing the main area of the hangar. Although you fully expected to see them here, every Jovian ship features at least a few. The sight of the armored frame stirs uncomfortable memories in you, and you inadvertently grit your teeth and squeeze the handrail you grip tightly. Ma'am, they're firing on us. There's so many of them. Oh God, ma'am, help! Signal lost. The line of retreat's totally cut off. We can't get back to the ship. Ma'am, what do we do? What do we do? Stop panicking and form up. 3 and 4 on me. We're going to punch a hole through the formation and... Signal lost. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I think it's just the change in gravity level. Left me a little bit greasy. I know how you feel. I was late for hangar order once and rushed down straight after a big lunch. I was moving so fast that with the gravity shift my stomach content couldn't keep up. Gross. Tell me about it. I did everything I could to keep my mouth shut. You know the rule for low gravity zones, what you spew is left up to you. I wasn't going to be late and on cleanup duty. Speaking of duties, shouldn't there be someone around here? Dalton should be around here somewhere. If you're feeling funny, stay here for a moment and I'll go see if I can find him. Sure. You watch as, despite the 15-meter difference between the catwalks and the hangar floor, Cassie nonchalantly places her 2 hands on the handrail and deftly vaults over it into the emptiness. Thanks to the low gravity, she doesn't fall, but instead kicks off the railing, propelling herself through the air. As Cassandra drifts off, eventually catching onto one of the armored frame's legs and uses it to swing herself around to float in a different direction, you place your elbow on the railing and your head on your hands. You turn your attention back to the storage features of the armored frame's heads and sigh deeply. Your attention is caught by the cockpit hatch in one of the frames being half open. Looking around, you see everything as you'd expect. Armored frame weapon racks, storage containers, various equipments, all of it restrained appropriately and fastidiously arranged. The cockpit hatch is the only thing that breaks that pattern. It's weird, I can't find him anywhere. I know it's definitely his shift right now, so he should be around somewhere. Looking past Cassandra at the armored frame with the ajar cockpit hatch, a thought strikes you. I think I might have an idea. Follow me. Carry out the same vaulting maneuver that Cassandra had performed and kick off towards the huge machine's cockpit. Once close enough, you grab hold of its arm and pull yourself up towards the open hatch. A few seconds later, Cassandra appears beside you, and you both notice the sound of gentle snoring coming from within the cockpit. Well, Lieutenant Commander, I think this is an operations issue, so I'll let you handle it. Leaving the discipline up to me again, huh? Cassandra nimbly clambers up the armored frame, positioning herself right above the cockpit, bracing herself on the machine's chest. She brings her heel down sharply and repeatedly on the armor. Cadet Grang, attention! You hear a muffled scream from within the cockpit, followed by a dull thud, a string of muttered curses, and then finally a figure emerges from the cockpit. Ma'am, I was just checking the calibrations. The calibrations on the AF got some feedback that... Oh, it's just you, Commander Quinn. Excuse me? Just? Is that how you address a superior officer, Cadet? Oh, ma'am, no, ma'am, I was not expecting to see you in the hangar, ma'am. Okay, you can tone it down a bit, Dalton. Oh, yes, ma'am? Good enough, I suppose. Anyway, Cadet, this is Lieutenant Blobicus, Ship Security Officer. Sir, Cadet Dalton Grang, Junior Engineer. Good to meet you, Cadet. Looks like they've got you working hard. Looks like... Oh, no, sir. Well, that is yes, sir, but not so hard that I'm falling asleep. No, sir, I was recalibrating the sensor array on the... Take it easy, cadet. We've all taken a nap in the cockpit in our lives. Huh, well, of course, we never took cockpit naps with with the chief giving us orders, so you probably need to get back on whatever you were doing, huh? Oh, I totally forgot she's going to kill me. Good kid, right? I feel sorry for him already. Aww. I like him. Alright, time to go to Cassandra's quarters. Oh, by the way, if you ever want to access, if you want access to my quarters, the passcode for the lock is 0211. It's pretty much the same passcode I use for everything. Woman, did you learn nothing? I feel like I should write this down. Alright, got it written down. 0211, got it. Oh, that's right, it's... our anniversary! Come on, you didn't think I'd forget, did you? Hey, good job! Oh, wait. Before you go in, can you give me a few minutes just to tidy the place up? I was almost late for my duty shift this morning, so it's kind of a mess. Let me put some stuff away, okay? Yeah, sure. Keeping herself between you and the entrance to her room, Cassandra opens the door using the control panel to its right. As it opens, she swiftly steps through, and before it's even all the way open, closes it again using the panel on her side of the entrance. The entire time she obstructs your view of her quarters. Thanks, I won't be long, promise. A few minutes pass, and you continue to stand gingerly outside of Cassie's quarters. You hear the occasional footsteps coming from the force-side thoroughfare, but they all move to the other part of the ship. Thankfully, no one stops by to ask why security is lurking outside one of the operation officer's quarters. Hey, Cassie. You give the door a gentle knock, leaning against the wall, continuing to remain on the lookout for anyone who may have some questions about what you're doing out there. How's it going in there? Oh yeah, almost done. Just give me a minute to get this sorted out and... That last pause is followed by a loud bang and the sound of a small cascade of various objects onto the floor. Oh, maybe a few more minutes. You sigh and step back from the door. If anyone asks, you can always tell them that you're doing spot checks for contraband or something similar. Done. Come in. Sweet baby Jesus, this is what she considers tidy. Welcome, make yourself at... As you step through the door frame, the toe of your boot catches on the discarded pair of leggings which are held in place by your other foot. As you begin to fall over, you reach out to catch onto something to stop yourself. I know where this is going. Unfortunately, the chair you reached out for has a uniform thrown over the backrest, which slips as you grab it, bringing both the chair and the assortment of cosmetics in the seat clattering down to the floor with you. Oh no, Blob, are you okay? I'm sorry, I thought... Cassie? Yes? I thought you said you were tidying this place up. I was. Then why did I just get brained by a falling hairdryer? There was a system. You get back to your feet and right the chair as Cassie quickly grabs the assorted bottles and tubes that fell down with you, placing them randomly back on any nearby surface. You almost launch into a speech about security storing positions in case of high-speed maneuvers, but you stop yourself. Doesn't the captain ever carry out spot checks or surprise inspections? No, it's great from what I've heard. Her quarters are in a worse state than mine. Is that right? Cassie's bed. It actually appears to be acting as a makeshift wardrobe. Does she move all these clothes before she goes to sleep, or do they act like an extra sheet? How does she even have this much clothing on board anyway? The frontal panel of the storage unit looks like it's barely managing to stay shut. Could that be what the bang was earlier? Next time I'll keep a watch about me for any inadvertent booby traps before I come in. Like everything else in the roost, the terminal appears to be in use as extra storage space, and the chairs covered and stuff. Since Cassie's in operations, you'd think she'd make more use out of her terminal than anyone else on board, but I can't see how she uses it like this. I don't know how much stuff Cassie stuffed in there, but I think if I open it, it may never close again. So how are you finding the gun dock so far? Enjoying the tour? The ship's pretty much the same as every other one I've been stationed on. The tour's first class though. Maybe if working naval operations doesn't work out, you could start your own business as a tour guide back in the Europa colony. You think so? Definitely. You seem to have all the insider knowledge already, and you've only been stationed here a few days. Imagine all the insider knowledge you could share about the Europa colony. Yeah, you're right. And over here we have the statue of the worker who built this colony. If you sneak around the back, you can get inside the plinth and hide from colony security if they catch you and your friends hanging out in the park after it's shut. Then again, I don't think that's the kind of thing people would want to know. Maybe a bit more about the workers first, anyway. Oh, they're just always in all caps. Okay. I found the gun dock so far. So you've been on the ship a few days now. How are you finding it? Well, it's not too bad. Obviously, it's not like being stationed on the Reliant. It's a whole lot smaller and there's way less people. But then there's also a lot less to do, so you got much more free time. Captain Bartholomew is pretty lax compared to Captain Syme. But then I get the impression that this whole crew is a bunch of burnouts. Except for us, of course. Except for us. I obviously didn't mean that about you. How do I feel about being transferred from the Reliant? So, about your transfer from the Reliant. I know, we don't need to have this conversation. I've already had it with Captain Syme and my dismissal from one of the senior resource officers. You're wasting your potential. You would make an excellent captain if you took your duties seriously. Your academy scores were excellent. I wasn't going to give you the speech, one of the only good things about not having parents is that I don't have to hear from them too. Hey, Cassie. And it's the absolute worst hearing it from you, because I know that out of everyone, you're probably the only person that really cares. I wasn't going to give you the big speech about it. I figured you'd already had it from everyone else. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I figured you were feeling worse than you were wrong. It's going to be okay. A ship like this isn't the worst place to be for a while. If things work out okay, you can always put it in for a transfer back to a bigger ship. The JCF is still building up its navy, so there'll be loads of opportunities. If that doesn't work out, there's still your career as a tour guide back in Europa. Yeah, you know it. probably make a better tour guide than ship operator anyway. I think you'd be great at whatever you decide to do, and whatever that is, I'll be here to support you through it. Cassie? Ah, you're so cheesy sometimes. Hey. Come here. I don't know what that was supposed to be. What do you want to do when we've got some shore leave? So now we're in the same ship, our shore leave will line up. Do you have anywhere you want to go? Anything you want to do? I hadn't thought about it. I guess this means we'll be able to go on a lot more dates now. Oh, I know. Did you hear about the new colony they've added to the Europa cluster? It's got an ultra-efficient water handling plant, and the planners have included a water park. We should go as soon as it opens. A water park? What's that? You've never heard of a water park? Never. They're one of the coolest new features of the new colonies they're building. They're like lots of big swimming pools with slides and rivers and all sorts. All the e-magazines are saying that they're going to be the coolest thing to do on the colonies once they're open. Pools and slides into pools? But like, really exciting. Huh. Okay, I guess when we're next docked, I'll see if I can book us some tickets. Awesome! That is all the tasks. With Cassandra leading the way, so if you leave Cassandra's quarters behind and step into group quarter 2. Cassandra pauses for a moment, looking left, then right before turning back to face you with a smile on her face. Well, that's it, Blop. Consider yourself officially acquainted with all there is to be acquainted with on board of the one and only JFS Gundog. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I did. It's probably up there in my top 5 ship orientations. Top 5? Okay, you're right. Top 3. What? Maybe a triple shift to start your time about the Gundog is more to your taste. Well, that did happen to me on board the Thunderbolt. So if that didn't happen, I guess it'd definitely be my favorite orientation ever. What a coincidence! It looks like your schedule's clear until tomorrow morning. Whoa, in that case, 5 stars, great tour, especially the guide. We are apparently smooth. I would never be this fucking smooth. Just to be clear, I am a dum-dum. So now the tour's over, your duties don't formally begin until tomorrow. If you want, we can take another look anywhere in the ship. If you want to call it a day, that's cool too. I think I'll call it a day. I think that's enough for now. I should probably go over the mission logs before tomorrow and get an early night. I know the captain seems pretty relaxed, but I don't want to make a habit of late starts. So responsible. I've got the late shift tonight, so maybe I'll get a nap in too. The two of you leave crew quarters quarter 2 behind as you both head back to your quarters. Cassandra being on board has been a huge surprise, but having spent this time with her, you found that all the anxiety you've been feeling when you boarded has disappeared completely. You continue to chat casually about your schedules, the mission, and your plans for your next shore leave. Eventually, you reach the four-side thoroughfare and you turn down the corridor that leads you to your quarters. Okay, I'll see you soon then. Well, look who it is, the Kalike Coward. You don't even need to look behind Cassandra to know who's standing at the entrance of to the corridor. Although you'd recognize the mocking tone anywhere, the real giveaway is the nickname, one you thought you'd escaped a long time ago. Hanson Cruz, or as you knew him, Kalike 3. Of the members of the Kalike squadron who'd taken part in the battle, he'd been the only one to return. Even then, that had only been after the ceasefire had been signed, a full 13 hours after he'd launched. From what you'd heard from the other crew members, he survived by playing a game of cat and mouse with the enemy forces in a debris field. By shutting down the majority of his systems and hiding amongst the wreckage, he'd been able to launch surprise attacks, taking down his pursuers one by one. When he came back to the Kalaik and saw your armored frame still suspended from his restraint, he had instantly blamed you from the squad being wiped out. If you'd taken off when you were supposed to, he argued, the squadron would have been at full strength, enough to survive the surprise attack. No amount of technical data arguing that it had been physically impossible for you to launch would change his mind. The destruction of the Kalaik squadron was in your hands. The worst bit was that you weren't entirely sure he was wrong. What's up, Lieutenant Blah? You're not thinking of finishing your first day without meeting an old friend, right? When Hara came and told me that some lieutenant called Blah Blah because was our new security officer, I had to come and take a look. No way could it be that wimp from back at the Kalaik. They'd had to have been dishonorably discharged for dereliction of duty. But I guess the JCF is so desperate that they'll hang on to anybody, no matter how much of a screw-up they are. How'd you end up here, Blobicus? They decided you couldn't handle a full-size ship, so I had to put you with the smallest crew they could find? You instinctually make your hand into fist, but unclench them quick before Hansen notices. You haven't been stationed on the same ship as him since the Kalaik, but you run into him a few times on board the colonies whilst you were both on shore leave. Each time had ended badly. I think just saying nothing. Oh, hello Moby, I just saw you now. This is Stories from Soul, the Gun Dog. I've only just started the game, I'm going in blind, so I don't know too much about it. Basically, it's sort of an old school adventure game, you know, investigation, all that stuff. But it's set in a Gundam-esque universe. So to give you some context, we were originally a fighter pilot on something called the Kalaik, and our frame just didn't launch when the big battle was supposed to happen. It just got stuck in the hangar and couldn't physically launch. The engineers were trying to fix it. Meanwhile, we were stuck inside a completely black cockpit, just listening to our crew getting massacred. The guy we're talking to right now is the only surviving crew member, who blamed us for the entire thing. Who said we were a coward and all that, and now we're sort of deciding what to do. We are the security detail aboard the ship, and I'm guessing from his outfit that he's the pilot. Actually, no one. No, we'll tell him to stand down. You almost lash out at Hansen, but stop yourself before you do. The two of you are on this ship together, whether you like it or not. And the last thing you want is to let him know that he can get a rise out of you so easily. Fight the urge to just draw your electroshock weapon here and now. It'd be easy to put an end to this that way, you think? But you know that in the long term, it'd probably be the worst decision you can make. Instead, you grit your teeth. Stand down, Ensign. This kind of behavior is out of line. Oh no, what are you going to do, Lieutenant? Confine me to quarters? On what grounds? Hurting your feelings? Give me a break. Where was that spine 4 years ago, huh? You're happy to throw your weight around against your comrades, but not the enemy? See what I was saying, Howard? The lieutenant here's a coward, and has been since day one. Won't fight, won't even stand up for themselves. Ensign Cruz, you stop this right now. Lieutenant Blobicus is... Can't stand up for yourself, so getting this ditch to do it for you, is it, Lieutenant? Cruz, you stop right now and apologize, or I'll order Lieutenant Blobicus to throw you into solitaire and write you up myself. You're welcome to try, Lieutenant Commander, but I don't think your security officers got it in them to even try. You think you can take me on, Blobicus? I'll remind him that orders are orders. I think just, being strictly business with him is what works. Step up to Hansen and place your hand on your hips, squaring directly up to him. Look into his eyes and wait for him to blink. A few 10-second pass, but eventually he blinks first. You hold on to the sigh of relief for now. Ensign Cruz, that's a request from a senior officer. I suggested you don't force the Lieutenant Commander to make it an order. You're so close that you can feel Hansen's hot breath on your face as he exhales through his nose and smirks. Why is that? Worried about what you'd have to do when I disobey it? Come on then, Lieutenant. What's it going to be? You're going to show me who's boss on board the ship? You're going to make me obey that order? You want to think long and hard about what you're going to do, Lieutenant. You never know when you're going to need a friend like me. I mean, we're all crewmate here, right? I'm not heartless. I'll even help losers like you out, if you've done me a solid or two. So maybe you should act like a professional for once. Or are you going to do something stupid and show the Lieutenant Commander that you're just as much of a screw-up as she is? Take a deep breath and just think stand up to him. With Hansen's breath hot on your face, you do everything you can to not bat an eye at that last comment, but despite your best effort, your hands are clenched into fists. As much as you like to put 50,000 volts through him for insubordination and insulting a superior officer, you know that would be letting him win. Instead, you glare into the ensign's eyes for a few more seconds. You can almost feel Hansen's hatred for you radiating from him like an aura, and takes all the bravado you can muster not to step down. The two of you stand like this for longer than you'd like until... Would you two knock it off already? I'm on duty this evening, and I don't want to have to update the captain that both her new security officer and lead pilot are in the sick bay. All because their egos are too big to be in the same ship together. So both of you stand down. That's an order. Both you and Hansen are taken aback for a moment, like two schoolchildren who've been caught in a playground squabble. You turn from Krause to Hansen and back, trying to come up with something to say. Similarly, Hansen's air of machismo has been dented by this surprise outburst. No, I don't want to hear about it from either of you. You're both in JCF, so maybe you should start acting like it. Inside Cruz, I wanted to report to the chief at 0400. You're helping her clean out the organic processing filters. As for you, Lieutenant Blobicus, we'll discuss this later. Hey, well, you can't! Inside! Piss off! That's an order. For the first time since you met him, Hansen looks lost for words. He stands there for a moment, mouth agape. Yeah, Lieutenant Commander. I hear you loud and clear. Hansen thrusts both his hands into his jacket pockets, turning on his heels and heading away towards the thoroughfare. He cocks his head, gesturing to Harold to follow him as he leaves. Before the pair are fully out of sight, he turns back to face the two of you. Good thing someone in this crew is able to keep everyone in line. Doesn't seem like our security officer up to the task. With this parting shot fired, both Haru and Hansen disappear around the corner. You and Cassie stand there watching the space where they'd been. Cassie crosses her arms as she taps her foot furiously. What an absolute dick. I told you he's a real... And you, what was that performance all about? I told you about him. He doesn't back down. You've got to. I know, but you can't let him get to you like that. Otherwise, he'll just keep coming time after time until one of you does something they regret. You pause for a long moment and feel your cheeks grow flush. You're suddenly filled with a sense of shame for being caught out acting so childishly. Hey, don't worry about it. I know the two of you have been through, and to be honest, I figured he's a real asshole from the moment I met him. Plus, he's going to be busy helping the chief clean out those filters for the next month, so don't worry too much about running into him much anytime soon. Still feeling a bit chiefish about your behavior in front of Cassie, you managed to smirk. Thanks for stepping in there. I shouldn't have stooped to his level. Don't worry about it. Just take it easy and don't let what he said get to you. I'm going to go get ready for my shift, so I'll see you soon. Sure, I guess. I'll catch you in the morning. Sounds good. Oh, one more thing. What's that? Cassie steps forward, placing her hands on your waist, and stands on her tiptoes, raising her face up to yours. You close your eyes and tilt your head slightly in response. The moment that her lips meet yours, you forget everything that just happened. All you can focus on is the softness and delicate warmth. After a moment, Cassie slowly moves back, and you open your eyes to find her gazing at you contently. You both share the same gentle smile before she steps away. Sleep well, Blah. As Cassie walks away, she spins on her heels, giving you a quick wave. Okay. As you step into your quarters and head over to your bunk, the door hisses shut behind you. You stand there for a moment, with a smile still on your face, before you let out a sigh and sit down, staring at nothing in particular, and mull over the day's events and Cassie's words from earlier. Big day ahead tomorrow, huh? You sigh. We'll see. April 23rd, Planetary Calendar 214. 4 days have passed since the JFS Gundog departed on its mission to rendezvous with JFS O'Brien. At that time, her crew, including Lieutenant Blobkis, have fallen into the easy rhythm of life aboard the ship. Even as the Gundogs enter the outer limits of Jovian space and is due to meet the O'Brien, there is little for the crew to do, and the general says routine permeates the atmosphere. Out of Jovian space, aboard the Jovian patrol ship JFS Gundog. You're just finishing the last of your coffee as a shrill series of electronic pips begins sounding from your wristwatch. Without looking to check the time, you turn off the alarm and rise from your seat, knocking back the last of your drink once you stood up, then taking the empty cup back to the food vendor. It's easy to lose track of time on board a military ship where the light is kept at a constant level, so you rely on a series of alarms you programmed. Know that this one means your shift is due to start in a few minutes, giving you time to finish whatever you may be doing. You place the cup back into the vendor where the machine latches onto it, and then retracts into a space that is quickly sealed by a sliding panel. As the sound of muffled whirring begins, you turn back to face the empty mess hall. Time to carry out the day's security checks then. Let's see, I need to stop by fire control, the hangar, and engineering to check that everything's going as it should. And now we're just a security officer aboard a ship. Oh right, we can actually switch between different display modes. I'm using Vivid mode because it's the default one, and honestly I think it looks good. I'm going to save the game here, however. We're already in Chapter 3! I don't know how long this game is, but I'm gonna call it for here tonight. It's definitely a fun game, and for the next stream I plan on continuing where I left off here. So I hope those of you who watched have enjoyed the little bit there was. It is very reading heavy, I know that, and I hope my reading of it is alright. Also, I'm going to try something new. Once we are done streaming, I'll try and download this VOD and put it up on YouTube. I don't know if it goes anywhere, but might as well. Anyway, everyone, take care. Bye-bye for today. Bye-bye.